How are you preparing for the future? The world will never move this slowly again. Between the digital revolution and mass globalization, we are experiencing an exponential pace of change. Crisis is all around us. Health, economic, climate. Humanity has achieved so much, but with each victory there are new risks. Addressing these requires better technology, better ethics, and better preparation. 2040 is for people who want to do better, do more, in a way that improves the lives of all equally. Today's pioneers and tomorrow's leaders. Imaginative, collaborative, and prepared. 2040 focuses on equipping you through connectivity, development, and wellness to deliver your impact. We are here to prepare you for the next paradigm, and we won't stop until tomorrow's leaders are today's. Your future, made together. We are 2040.
Good evening and welcome to the 2040 Spring Cohort launch. Welcome to our 50 new members, welcome to our founding members, a grateful welcome to our supporters, and a welcome to the like-minded and the unlike-minded. I saw a short film in 2017 that I'm never going to forget. In fact, I'd say it was perhaps the most impactful 4.5 minutes of filmography I've ever seen. It won the Film for Climate competition back then and remains as relevant now as when I saw it first. And it starts a little bit like this. Fun fact, planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Mankind is 140,000 years old. Let me put that into perspective. If you condense the Earth's lifespan into 24 hours, that's one full day, then we have been here on this planet for, drumroll please, 3 seconds. And look what we've done. We modestly named ourselves Homo sapiens, meaning wise man. But is man really so wise? The next 4 minutes of the film compresses all of the emotions you do and don't want to get. Those you might get by watching a David Attenborough documentary followed by the news at 10. And in our time on this planet, humankind has done some truly amazing things. But it's also undone an amazing amount too. We now have a finite amount of time to fix our planet in its physical and digital forms before it's too late. And the risks that face us, our generation, extend into all aspects of the socio-economic jigsaw that is our world. For instance, the recent immediate and severe human and economic costs of COVID-19. They threaten to scale back years of progress. New barriers to individual and collective advancement will likely result in the pandemic as the world faced the sudden disruption of our social interactions, a widening divide, abrupt shifts in markets and in consumer behavior, a loss of education and jobs for many, and challenges to democracy and international relationships that we've seen all over the world. Sounds pretty bleak, right? Maybe. But actually, we feel pretty optimistic, energized even. As the next generation, we have some pretty unique tools in our kit bag. We're a generation with a new outlook. We're a generation with a renewed energy and with an abundance of new technologies to support us in bringing equality to society and turning back the hands of time on environmental, economic, and health crises. We are a generation recalibrating the American dream for the global demographic. But to ensure that these tools are at our disposal, there must be a focus on technology for good, or responsible technology, an agreed and concerted effort to harness our new capabilities for the benefit of the many, not the few. At 2040, we believe that one of our greatest gifts is going to be each other. Alone, it is hard to create momentum and to affect change. But together, we believe we will be able to achieve remarkable, critical things. At 2040, we've spent a lot of time thinking about you. And when we think about you, what we mean is what you can do together. If you think about the relationships at your fingertips in this community, it's a really powerful concept. If you and I and one other were in a room, just 3 people, there would be 3 direct relationships. With our 32 founding members, there were 496 relationships. Today, we have 82 members, which amounts to 3,321 relationships. And if we scale the community to 500 members, that would be over 124,000 new relationships and new channels for opportunity. So rather than thinking about what humankind has done over those 3 seconds gone, perhaps we can think and get excited about the next 3 seconds and our roles together in the changing of the tide. To support your roles in the sequel to that short film, we're doing as much as we can to bring amazing people together and to give you the tools and the environment to thrive. Today, we welcome 50 new members to the 2040 family, and in the coming days, you're going to hear who they are. Tonight, we are fortunate enough to have some truly wonderful contributors, and with it, a couple of announcements. So, let's get on with the show. Our first guest absolutely needs no introduction. Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice joined us for the launch of 2040 in November and has continued to bring her game-changing energy to the 2040 team and community. Princess Beatrice is Vice President of Partnerships and Strategy at technology firm Affinity, and Princess Beatrice is also a trustee and founder of the Big Change Charitable Trust, which identifies and supports charitable projects throughout the UK that improve the lives of young people. She is ambassador of Be Cool, Be Nice, which is a campaign to promote cyber welfare for young people. The campaigns are raising awareness around cyberbullying and promoting mindfulness for young people. Princess Beatrice is a champion of women in leadership and has collaborated with and spoken at a range of events around the world, working to promote role models for positive leadership development. Princess Beatrice has always had a strong focus on supporting the next generation and unlocking their potential. And I am delighted to welcome to the stage our new patron, Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sam. It's amazing to be with everyone this afternoon. I really wish it could be in person, and I can't wait for the first time that this incredible organization can get together. And that energy already, I feel, kind of reaching across this virtual screen is here. And even with that short intro video, I feel like it's a time for reflection and a time for action as well. So I'm pretty excited to be a part of this incredible group and to follow you, Sam, who's done a remarkable job bringing everyone together.
Thank you so much, Princess Beatrice, and I can assure you we will be following you. But welcome to 2040. This is day one for us both, for us all. And thank you, as I said, for your energy and your enthusiasm and the support to our team so far. It's been a fun journey, and we're only just getting started. Let's kick off with some questions. I have the huge privilege of interviewing you today. Whoever would have thought I'd be in this spot? But let's start with the news today. In your view, what does the patron role mean to you, and why are you excited about it?
Well, I think, firstly, when we think about, I know that we've discussed this, but it's really nice to be able to bring this forward with the group this evening because, I think that the patron role. For me, especially as a young person developing in my own way to hopefully become, the type of leader that is worthy of standing up for 2040, is that, we wanted to take the idea of patron in a very new way, in this whole essence of collaboration, which speaks to the very heart and soul of what 2040 really is about, bringing together unique voices, who all doing amazing things individually, but actually what can we do with the power of the collective and that collective spirit. So in this role, and it's a huge honor for me as well, is I see this as being is about a collaboration and really understanding exactly how we can as a collective do things that are reaching new heights. And I think what you've so rightly said in your introduction, Sam, about those 3 seconds, and so much of the time I think is putting pressure on all of us, especially as young future leaders, that it can be quite a lonely place. It's all down to me. It's all down to I've got to do so much. But I actually think, thank goodness, that there are organizations and groups like 2040, which means that you can feel like you're part of something bigger and striving towards something bigger. Because I think with that support and that network with us, we can really achieve so much. So, when we were thinking about the role of patron, it was sort of going back to the days of old, when you were fortunate enough to foster ideas and collaborate, and really understand what it is to help somebody thrive in life. And I think that's the real essence of what the patronage really means in this moment. And so I'm really honored and excited to be with everyone. I just also would love to congratulate the new cohort that we're welcoming this evening. This has been a fantastic journey so far for me in 2014. I'm so happy that you're here with us.
Thank you. And you're so right. I think many of us have read in books, and I've heard from many leaders and people I admire, that leadership can be lonely. And careers should be team sports. Come together and work together with peers, and with senior leaders and people more junior, to achieve collective goals. And one of the things that, as we were looking through the hundreds of applications for this cohort, we recognized was a lot of these people may well be feeling lonely in their roles. Many entrepreneurs, many people at the tops of business. So we look forward to creating that environment, that collective, where people can really thrive and rely on each other, because this is a team sport. Princess Beatrice, what are some of the examples of important roles that young leaders can play in today's changing world?
I think that one of the most impressive roles that I've seen, especially with young people today, is this role of storytelling, and trying to use their voices and their platforms, no matter where that is, whether in the workplace or as the individual, to tell a story in a new way. I loved what you described earlier about this focus on tech for good. And when we think about the opportunities that come from this connected world, I think that is really masterful, that we can really bring together new voices that can retell things in a new way, that can constantly be rethinking and relearning, and ultimately share. I mean, when you think to the cohort of our founding members, I had the opportunity to speak with one of my inspirational leaders, Danola, who in her own right has achieved so much. But over the last 6 months that we've got to know each other, we're now collaborating in multiple ways. And it's incredible to see that new stories that can be told, that we can really shape. And we're now joining a board together, and it's a board that's been around for lots and lots of few years, but we're actually together, hoping to collaborate to do something which is about for the next generation. So I often think so much of the traditions and values and privileges that we have, we've all had it so we're in a fantastic, unique position, but I think it's also about making those stories, retelling those stories, and reclassifying that thinking, that learning, and making sure that people know it's okay to go, do you know what? I've never thought about it from that perspective. Here's now what I'm going to learn, what I'm going to take away, and do things differently.
I love that. Day one of Patronage, and you're already creating connectivity and opportunity. It's amazing, and what a rock star Danola is. I'm so pleased to hear that.
Yeah. I have to say I'm stealing from one of my favorite writers, Adam Grant, who's just written a fantastic book called Think Again, which has taught me so much about the power of unlearning and lifelong learning. So I that's a tool that I've loved in my life so far.
Fantastic. I look forward to learning more about unlearning. It reminds me of when we started our company, calling it the beginner's mind, because in the beginner's mind there's endless possibilities, yet in the experts there are few. It sounds counterproductive, but it's very powerful.
It's very powerful.
Beatrice, you've spent a lot of your career in technology and thinking about responsible technology. What role can technology play to solve some of the issues that we spoke about earlier? And what does responsible tech mean to you?
Do you know, when I think about, there's sort of there's two sides of this fantastic technology debate, which I'm really privileged to be a part of, working for an AI company that for a very long time has had a very bad rap because of people coming into the industry and thinking that AI is suddenly taking over and taking people's jobs. But when you actually get down to the level of really understanding what a technology company can do, if we've, as we've discussed, if its ethics and positioning and opportunities are all there for the taking. And I think that it's also about reframing the conversation. So it's responsibility and taking on that with great power, not to quote Spider-Man for 1 second, but with great power comes great responsibility. That's the bit that I'm most excited about when I look to the future of technologies-based solutions. I think there's still a lot of fear, and I'm really a real champion of how we can work with great organizations and great individuals to be able to retell that story as well, that we should be instilling responsibility and morals and collaboration stories across the sector, as well as the other side of this, which is how technology really can do good. So I think there's two sides to the revolution, and I think that this is one of the most important things when I look around and we can see so much of what's been achieved. We're going to hear a little bit more about the World Wide Web Foundation later on, but the foundation of the web was about this incredible opportunity to create access, and we've got unparalleled access, unlike ever before. But I am so inspired by what the foundation's doing in order to go that level deeper and realize what it is to kind of keep that innovation going and ask a few more questions and harder questions: the why, the what, and what if. And I think that is something that is really inspiring, especially for the next generation who are all tech enabled. But we need to just have that in the back of our mind. It's about striking that responsibility piece as well.
You're so right. Asking lots of questions is important, and that responsibility is forever going to evolve as the circumstances and technology evolves as well. And it's just brilliant to see organizations like MasterCard coming out in the last week and linking executives' pay to their ESG objectives and whether or not they're achieving them. And I think that kind of forward thinking and that kind of asking questions is going to be so important from large corporations and small, in fact.
Yeah, and small, and I think so much of this is it shouldn't just be down to the big companies that have to make these decisions. I think everybody can feel that responsibility in a way, and I'm really excited. I mean, we've seen so much change in the last year to kind of carry on that momentum, and now see some of the actions that can come from all of us sitting alone in front of our get down to the next level.
Absolutely. And as we talk about getting down to the next level, it's often about, as we spoke earlier, creating environments to do that. How do you think platforms like 2040 can contribute towards a better world?
Well, firstly, I think actually, we've touched on it a little bit earlier on, but I think, as you said, sometimes, as leaders, it can feel really lonely. And one of our favorite quotes from my fellow founders at Big Change was, if you want to go somewhere far, go alone. If you want to go somewhere fast, go together. And I think that is something that I've been really inspired by. And it's really platforms like 2040, which are reframing the level of connection and the power of that and what we can achieve together, and actually just reframing the conversation so that people feel like they have a place to go. And what I love about 2040 as well is the element of wellness that's coming into the platform, because this, in order to change what we need to change and keep moving, we do need to focus on that mind element, and keeping your mind strong and agile and focused. So I really do enjoy the fact that that's been a huge pillar for what the 2040 stands for, and making sure that leaders feel like they don't have to go it alone. They don't have to be isolated, and they can find a place, which means that they can support one another and collaborate. I think so often, leaders find leaders, whether it's in business or whether it's just those that are learning as much as they can about what it is that they want to contribute in the world, they kind of get a bit lost. Where do you start? Where do you begin? How do you know that you have this little flame inside of you that knows that you want to collaborate and do more, but where do you begin? So I think especially for those of us that are coming out from, working in isolation, finding a platform like 2040 to call home can bring about great change.
I love that quote from The Big Change, and one of the quotes I talk about a lot with my colleagues is, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And that really is, I think, what platforms like 2040 can do, as you say, go further together.
But what I really also love... Oh, sorry, Sam, go for it.
You please.
No, I said, I also love is that this is a very diverse platform as well. So if when you think about some of the members, we're also we're pulling from finance, from philanthropy, from lots and lots of different networks, and I think that is also really, really vitally important, because I don't think this is a one sector fits all scenario. I think that this is about taking lots of different positions and bringing them together to have that conversation. And maximizing on this inflection point in history is going to take diverse voices in the room, and I think that that's also another element that I'm really looking forward to. How we grow is inspiring that as well.
I think I might have pinched that phrase earlier from you, in fact, but the concept of unlike-minded individuals and bringing them together to benefit from one another's differences is definitely something that gets us pretty excited. Princess Beatrice, what advice would you give to young people in education or perhaps in their younger professional years? And what advice would you give them on ways to get involved with some of the critical causes that are going to contribute towards our progression that they may not know about or how to play a role in?
It's a great question, and actually one of the things that I've always been inspired by is keeping your curiosity, and don't be afraid to unthink and unlearn, but also don't feel like you have to have all the answers yourself. One of the things that that's always helped me, and this actually is inspired by my grandfather, who's just, he's turning 100 this year, but you kind of become obsessed with solving the problem. Don't become obsessed with the solution, because your route to actually finding a way to get through that problem will be different, and the path will be different, and it might twist and turn. So don't be disheartened if your first path is not the one that you think you have to stick to. Keep focusing on what you're trying to achieve, and you'll get there. And then, my second piece of advice is, be curious, but find the best ways to collaborate, and learn as much as you can along the way. You're not alone.
I subscribe to all of that. I think you and I have spoken about it a lot, but togetherness and embracing technology, being curious about what technology can hold. I think getting involved in STEM early on is essential.
And so, Sam, what would be your advice?
Well, definitely the togetherness component. I have only ever played my career a little bit like I played rugby as a kid. Working with people much bigger, better, smarter, faster than I am. And then, yeah, I think embracing technology, getting an understanding for the new emerging capabilities and becoming truly technology native. I hang out with my parents in a non-pandemic time, and they struggle to use a mobile phone. I wonder what my equivalent of that will be when I'm their age. And I think it's really important for young people to embrace the fact that they are more adept with new technologies and are more adept with new ways of doing things that perhaps others haven't thought about who've trodden the path before them. So embrace that. And I think the reverse mentoring concept with where technology is concerned is going to be a really powerful concept for years to come.
I completely agree. But Sam, thank you so much for having me tonight. It's amazing. I'm really excited to see some of the little talks that we also have for the rest of the program.
Well, the thanks is from us, and today is a huge day personally as 2040, the organisation, and for all of our members and supporters. Thank you for being a truly wonderful patron already, and it's just day one, so I can't wait to see where we go.
Oh, well, I'm very excited. Very excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was, well, wonderful and a true privilege to have Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrice as patron of 2040 alongside the Lord Mayor